I think when I saw the video, when they got me involved with the research about the black and the white, I think for me it was actually more about the township area and also the suburban area. And to say a lot of not only entrepreneurs but young professionals actually. We grow up in the township, but then we go and actually support the suburbs area. We go and actually support the international brands. We never actually get to invest and actually support entrepreneurs in the township. We never actually get to go back and say, what can we be able to plow back? When me and my team actually sat down and actually put together this summit, it was more about how do we make sure that township entrepreneurs have access to resources and information. But mostly, how do we make sure that they have access to finance? How do we make sure that they have access to markets? Because there are a lot of corporates and a lot of institutions that are actually running projects, but then they're not necessarily communicating their projects effectively to the township entrepreneurs. But even if those projects they're running, are they actually models for the township entrepreneurs? Do they understand the challenges that are there that are faced by township entrepreneurs? The next 2 days where we put together, the discussion are going to be very robust. They're going to actually challenge the status quo, but the biggest thing is more about how do you come up with solutions that are already there? How do you come up with solutions to challenges that are already there? I think we're all tired of talking about the specific challenges. We all know the challenges that are there, but I think it's time that we talk about solutions that we need to come up with to ensure that we actually become impactful to supporting township entrepreneurs. To just point specific session actually next tomorrow, it's about breaking the wheel with regards to access to funding. Because we think that we need to be going to the commercial ways of actually accessing funding. But there are actually very innovative ways currently that a lot of entrepreneurs are embarking on to be able to raise the specific funding that they want. I mean, there's a company called SV Capital that actually work with stock funds where they take the stock of money to be able to invest in return-worthy businesses. There are others that actually do crowdfunding from entrepreneurs themselves and actually investing in entrepreneurs. And I had a discussion earlier this week with Mr. Hector to talk about there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the township that actually are willing to be able to put projects and invest in each other to make sure that we become impactful. We don't actually have to be sitting back and saying, we expect this from government, we expect this from corporate. I don't think that you need to be sitting down and actually expecting things to be handed down to us. But I think it's a matter of saying, how do you actually work with corporates? How do you work with government to ensure that we can be able to get from one point to the other? So essentially what I wanted to do, especially with the videos, to plow a seed in your mind for the next 2 days to say, what is it that I can be able to do as an entrepreneur, as a corporate? How can I be able to make sure that I invest impactfully in the township entrepreneur? Whether it be through procurement, whether through investing in the business themselves, whether through infrastructure that is actually needed in the township. So we look at the township that a lot of our entrepreneurs actually have to go to the city or to the Sentence and the Rosebands to actually be able to have access to the likes of incubations, to lots of programs that they actually need for ESD. But then, how do we bring all these opportunities into the township? How do you make sure that you create a co-production spaces in the township? Do we have manufacturing businesses in the township? Do we have manufacturing places? Because a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met, they're manufacturing, but they do not have production spaces. Now, how do we come up with a way where they can be able to create the product themselves in the township? And we have this misconception, especially when it comes to corporate. They think that the township entrepreneurs is only your spa shops, your hair salon, your car washers. I've met guys that are actually doing fantastic work. Guys that are in the IT, guys that are in manufacturing, in agro-processing. I mean, some of the exhibitors outside are township entrepreneurs at heart. And we never get to see them because when you go to the township, just for that weekend or for that day, you never get to see those businesses literally on the street. So we assume that the township businesses that we talk about, it's only the one that actually the street vendors and all of that. I think we need to kind of have some sort of mindset shift with regards to how we see township entrepreneurs and how we engage with them and how we actually get to ensure that we invest in their businesses and their growth. So with that, I thank you, and I hope that the next 2 days will actually be able to plow a seed for you to go back and actually think properly, for you to be able to ensure that you engage with different stakeholders to look at how can we work together as Ekasi entrepreneurs, as different stakeholders that are in the township that are doing great things. We have about 173 area partners across South Africa. So essentially area partners is that we realize that we can't go to each and every township across South Africa, but we know that in each and every township there is some sort of a township development program that is running. So we go there and actually partner with that specific organization to say, how do we get to make sure that we capacitate that organization to support the township entrepreneurs on the ground in their own space. I think for us to say, how do we now make sure that from the up here, we influence corporate and government in policy making, in ensuring that we direct some sort of support to the township entrepreneurs in the different townships that we actually operate in. So guys, I thank you, and I hope that the next 2 days will be an eye-opener for you, because when you put together, I think it's going to be fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you, Elvis. I think he really encompassed why we're here today. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we mean business. I grew up in the township and I've been exposed to the types of activities that happen there. And I have to say that this for me is game changing, and this for me is going to impact and transform so many communities and so many young people's lives who are being bred in those townships. So Elvis, thank you so much for that. Without further ado, our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is a South African entrepreneur well known for having successfully built the biggest hair brand in the country, Black Like Me. He is a published author with an autobiography also called, or rather, Black Like You. And his life story is one that captures that of many South Africans then and now. Please help me welcome on stage the Honourable Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba.